A lovely wife named Elaine lives a dull life in a rundown part of the city. Her schedule rarely lines up with her husband Orly, since she works overnight while Orly ends his shift in the evening. Elaine works as a toll booth cashier, and one evening, her high school best friend Claire is surprised to see her there. Claire invites her to her daughter's birthday party, and Elaine agrees with a smile. But once Claire leaves, Elaine quietly feels a bit envious that her friend married a well-off man, unlike her. At home, Orly is jolted awake in the middle of the night when his sister Lumen arrives. She tells him she's bringing their blind mother to stay at his place. She says she can't take care of her anymore because she also needs to start working. Back at work, a rich young man named Miguel drives by and quickly takes notice of the pretty cashier. He flashes a smile at her the whole time, but Elaine doesn't give him any attention. The next morning, Elaine arrives home and sees Orly getting ready for his shift. Noticing how attractive she looks, Orly gets in the mood and decides to stay a bit longer. But in the middle of their moment, he suddenly stops because he can't get things going. His only fix is to watch something explicit. Elaine doesn't agree with it, but she lets it slide. At a building site, Miguel apologizes for showing up late. His family owns the firm, while his best friend Roy handles the operations. Their client Vivian, who is already married, clearly has an eye for Miguel and openly flirts with him. As Miguel shows her the penthouse, Vivian gives money to the workers and tells them to take a lunch break. Now left alone, Vivian begins taking her clothes off and ends up hooking up with him. What they don't know is that Roy and the other workers are nearby, secretly watching. Orly, who drives a delivery truck, almost hits another vehicle. The other driver shouts at him, but without a word, hot-headed Orly pummels the man until he's bloody and unconscious. Later, his blind mother Daria arrives, and Elaine greets her kindly. Before heading out, Lumen tells their mom not to cause any trouble, and Daria promises she won't. When Orly gets home, he looks upset seeing his mother there. Elaine tries to speak to him, but he just storms off in frustration. One night, Miguel passes by the toll booth again. He starts chatting with Elaine, but she gives him short replies. As she hands him his change, Miguel softly holds her hand, making her uneasy. He admits he likes her, and even though Elaine doesn't say a word, she begins to grow curious about him. After attending a marriage counseling session, Orly complains that it's just a waste of time. Elaine urges him to tell the counselor about his obsession with adult films, but Orly says it's not a problem and walks out angrily. That night, Miguel comes by the booth again, and this time, Elaine smiles at him. He tells her she looks more beautiful each time he sees her, and Elaine is clearly flattered. She finally shares her name, and as she gives him his ticket, their hands touch a bit longer. Elaine starts daydreaming so much that she forgets about the food and ends up burning it. Daria grows worried, but Elaine tells her not to worry. One afternoon, Miguel stops at the booth and asks Elaine to join him for dinner. She politely refuses, saying her shift ends in the morning. But Miguel says he's willing to wait. A driver behind him honks in frustration, so Elaine gently asks him to leave. Miguel refuses to go unless she says yes, and so Elaine finally gives in. The next morning, Miguel picks her up, and they eat at a nearby place. Elaine tells him she's married, but Miguel admits he already knew. Elaine says she's unsure if she can open her heart to another man, but Miguel says he's willing to wait. Meanwhile, Orly is starting to lose patience because Elaine hasn't returned yet, and he's already late for work. Elaine finally comes home, and Daria tells her that Orly just left, furious. As Miguel is about to head home, his best friend asks him to drop by his fiancée's place to return her phone. When he gets there, Roy's fiancée Marge invites him in for a drink. It turns out Miguel has been secretly seeing her behind Roy's back. That night, Orly asks Elaine what time she got home. Daria quickly answers that she arrived just after he left. Orly complains that he was late because of her, and Elaine replies that she was stuck in traffic. The next day, Elaine comes home early. Orly gets excited and says they should get intimate. Though Elaine hesitates at first, they end up in bed. But once again, Orly needs to watch something explicit to get himself going. Elaine starts crying, clearly not enjoying it. She gets up in the middle of it, which leaves Orly furious. Feeling used, Elaine just sits in the corner, crying. After her shift, Elaine meets up with Miguel. The ladies' man asks where she wants to go, and Elaine says he can decide. They drive to a quiet mountain spot, and at the back of the car, Miguel starts getting close. Elaine finally gives in, and for the first time in a long while, she actually feels something. She gets home late that night. Orly apologizes for earlier and offers to cook dinner. Elaine says she's not hungry and heads straight to bed. Wanting her to be comfortable, the caring husband turns the fan toward her. The next morning, Orly prepares breakfast, but Elaine stays distant. He asks where she went yesterday, and Elaine simply says, somewhere. When he asks if she was with someone, she gives him a blank stare and stays silent. Orly holds back his anger and quietly walks away. Elaine begins spending more time with Miguel, and for the first time, she experiences things she never got with Orly. One day, the couple attends Claire's daughter's baptism. While eating, Elaine is stunned when Miguel shows up for her. He signals for her to meet him at the bathroom, and Elaine excuses herself to follow. Inside the men's room, Miguel gets handsy with the once faithful wife. A while later, Orly grows impatient when Elaine doesn't return. He waits outside the women's restroom, but she still doesn't come out. He walks into the men's room to pee, not knowing Miguel and Elaine are just behind the cubicle door. Moments later, Elaine sneaks into the women's room and pretends that's where she came from. Orly asks what took her so long, and the sneaky wife claims she had a bad stomach. Elaine begins wearing makeup and sexier outfits. She tells her blind mother-in-law she's going out to buy her a radio, but in reality, she's spending the day with Miguel. Orly starts feeling suspicious because Elaine has been going out more often. He confronts her and asks where she's been, but Elaine keeps giving cold replies. Orly finally warns her that if he finds out she's cheating, he'll do something he'll regret. One day, while Elaine is cooking, Miguel shows up and begins kissing her. Daria, though blind, asks who the man is. Elaine lies and says it's just the noisy fish vendor. Even though she can't see, Daria can clearly hear what's going on. Miguel brags to Roy about the wild moment he had with Elaine. Roy warns that her husband might find out, but Miguel just laughs. He later brings Elaine to his house, and they get close again, not knowing Miguel is secretly recording everything. One day, Orly tries to win Elaine back, but she turns her back on him coldly. He invites her to return to counseling, but she says there's nothing left to fix. Meanwhile, Miguel shows off his private collection of videos with different women. The first one is with his best friend's fiancée, and the next is with Elaine. One of his friends asks to borrow the tape and promises to return it soon. One morning, Elaine waits for Miguel after her shift, but he doesn't show up. To make things worse, she finds out she's pregnant. When she gets home, Daria begs her to stop cheating on Orly. Elaine is shocked, and her mother-in-law tells her that even though she's blind, she's not clueless. She says she doesn't want Elaine to end up like her, admitting she once cheated too, and maybe her miserable life now is her bad karma. At the construction site, Roy finds a tape on Miguel's table. Curious, he plays it, and is crushed to see his fiancée messing around with his best friend. When he sees Elaine in the video too, Roy starts thinking of a way to get back at them. During breakfast, Orly breaks down in tears and apologizes to Elaine for all his past mistakes, hoping to bring back the joy they once had. He tells her he still loves her, and though Elaine stays silent, tears quietly roll down her cheeks. Later, Elaine tells Miguel that she's pregnant. The Playboy shrugs it off, saying maybe it's her husband's child. But Elaine says no, since they haven't had kids in years. She's scared because Orly is growing more suspicious, but Miguel says maybe it's time to call things off. Elaine pleads with him, saying she's willing to leave Orly just to be with him. But the Playboy says that was never the deal. Crushed, Elaine leaves and breaks down in tears. The next day, she calls Orly and says they were worried since he didn't come home. Orly apologizes again, and Elaine says everything's okay now. She just wants him to come back. Orly tells her how much he loves her. When Elaine finally says she loves him too, Orly breaks down crying. Meanwhile, Roy finds out where Elaine lives. He asks one of her neighbors to give a tape to Orly, but the neighbor hands it to Elaine instead. Thinking it's just one of Orly's usual adult films, she puts it in the player to have it ready when he gets home. When Orly arrives, Elaine begins kissing him, but when he fails to respond again, she tells him it's fine if he wants to watch a movie. She plays the new tape. At first, it shows Miguel and Marge, but when Orly suddenly sees Elaine on the screen, he freezes. Elaine tries to explain, but it's too late. Orly is already shattered, and this time, it's his heart that gives up. Meanwhile, Roy attacks his fiancée out of rage for what she and Miguel did. Blinded by heartbreak and anger, Roy pulls out a gun and ends her life, then takes his own. That evening, Elaine goes to see Miguel, and the Playboy quickly hugs his favorite toy. But unknown to him, the furious wife is holding a knife behind her. Moments later, she ends his life with her own hands. Elaine then walks alone under the rain, down a dark, empty street, perhaps choosing to end her own story too.